sometimes na niema bitimi cause na wankasa why emotional. Na the former education minister Dr. Yaw Osei Aduchum audited by STEM education and Addo free education in United Shimubi. Na abusia wache say ebra oba nan ko ebra NPP fra ban su ya na anu de ya oba nan akosra onu akasa ne constituency na school bi e wo ho was some girls na abusia okodu ho no enkoda mofra no nsem o matwira fa ne ho or like okanya na waye emotional na live radio TV live TV program and I just say or dey some to dan wo kawie ye kwa wo hwe ni dimi na wo say papa no achievement oba say obeye minister no waye no wa achieve na so nhira no hu nsampa ne saka o che say oye na dwen ne mpanyufo sinkunya say obi wo kwa preti obi wo katape obi wo abuaja amakurom anasa apia kurom obi so wo chesebre pro famine saafo no hoye kurom kituom obewie JHS no wanya grade ebia 22 obi so bantima obi ewo chese kurom achimota obi ewo kura kese mu saafo no so bewie no na wanya grade ebia 12 then obi anu wo kura kituom no yemma ne chance na wono so adisade college no nkobi prempen no nkobi or the 22 na koy we so the 12 na koy but obonyina be ko school 3 years na wie no na de the 22 bae no obe better because biaya otena sua de OJHS no wanya the environment a conducive and supporting no it is half one of schools akese na boa now and this in so say school akese na yenyi fees nene Dr. Sadichum why emotional after a year of free attention be attitude yentie mu nsem na chawa your conversation for mommy
viewing and listening audience, and I don't know why you invited me on Valentine's Day of all this in the whole year. This is the day you invited me.
And it's good you have the red tie on too.
I always do the red. So I just want to first of all thank God for giving me the opportunity to serve my nation.
Okay.
8 years at the Ministry of Education, and also to thank the former president, Addo Akufo-Addo, for inviting me to be part of his government. It was a great opportunity, a wonderful opportunity to serve my nation. About 3 days ago, I went to a school in my constituency. The moment I went there, they told me that that morning, our students were asked to write who has inspired, a story of who has inspired them.
Okay.
There's a student by name, his first name is also very unique, called Dywell.
Okay, wow.
Dywell had written that the person who inspires him the most is Dr. Yaw Osei Aduchum.
Oh, okay.
Little did she know that I was going to show up at the school. So when I was there, I said, yeah, Dywell was writing about you.
That's a beautiful coincidence.
Yeah, beautiful coincidence. They showed me what she had written. Okay. And it really touched me to know that a child that you don't know will just feel like you have inspired me to be a great individual, and one day I want to be like you. This is what I take away from my work at the ministry, that there are children across the country who feels inspired like Dywell. And there are others around the country who have grown up at places with less means and see my story of how I grew up and became who I had become, to feel inspired that one day they can even do more than what Dr. Yaw Osei Aduchum has done. So when I look back at those moments where you are making an impact on the lives of many people. Many people see hope through your story. And that to me is the most significant thing, apart from all the other things that we may have done. The bottom line is that somebody like Dywell feels that you have inspired me. And that to me is the most important thing.
Okay. So, I mean, yes, a lot of people I'm sure are inspired like Dywell. But looking back, what would you say were your achievement as a Minister of Education? When you came in, we all heard what you said. You wanted to make education, I mean, the way you had seen it in the America. I mean, you had run a school there, and you thought that education could be made more practical than it is. What would you say were your biggest achievement as a minister?
I would say that when I became Minister for Education, I was invited by Harvard University. They have a program that guides and mentors education ministers. And the first workshop, they asked all of us to create what's called a legacy statement. My legacy statement was to make Ghana the best nation in STEM education, one of the best in the world in STEM education. And when I reflect upon the legacy statement that I shared with the University of Harvard and see that we're able to do it. You see, STEM has always been something that you hear presidents talked about, the 60-40, famous 60-40 ratio of 60% of students at the tertiary in the STEM-related fields and 40% in the humanities. And unfortunately, it had been, for the most part, lip service. Because I don't seem to understand how you have about 14% of your students in the high school enrolled in science. But when they get to the university, you expect 60% of them to become science-related students. I mean, it was just a talk. So we had to begin to take a look at what is going on around the world. And of course, I always say I'm one of the luckiest education ministers in the world, having taught in the classroom, got an opportunity to develop schools in America, that kind of experience, and doing a PhD in education policy and administration. So what I, through under the leadership of the president, looked at was STEM education, the key to the future of Ghana's transformation. Not just an education, but we are talking about how does education change the fortunes of your country. So if your sense of urgency is the transformation of Ghana, and you happen to be the education minister, you are looking at what are the gaps. Because in education, you have to look at access, you have to look at the quality of the education system, and then look at the relevance of the education system. When the education system is not relevant to the socioeconomic transformation of your country, it's education to nowhere. All the students can pass the exams and people jubilate that they actually have passed the exam. But if you happen to be the education minister, you are concerned about, am I producing the people that can really champion transformation of Ghana? So that is what led us to STEM education. The emphasis on STEM was to make sure that in this 21st century, in this fourth industrial revolution, are we going to create a competitive economy? Are we really going to change the fortunes of Ghana? So when you hear STEM education, it's not just children coming to school. When you see them doing robotics, you see them flying drones, you see them doing things that we've never done before. It's creating the next generation workforce in the 21st century, in the fourth industrial revolution, who will lead the transformation of Ghana. And that was what my focus on about. If you look at Vietnam, Vietnam is making great strides in industrialization.
Okay.
Now, Vietnam has 93 million population. They produce 100,000 engineers every year. Now, Vietnam is the toast of East Asia. Every industrial giants are flocking to Vietnam. In fact, the last time I checked, Samsung has its largest manufacturing plant anywhere in the world, in Vietnam.
Okay.
Now, Ghana, with over 30 million population, in a very good year has 7,000 engineers graduating. If you look ratio and proportion, we should be doing over 30,000.
Engineers?
Yes. Because engineering have so many fields. Software engineering.
Let me take you back to the point about STEM. Now, when you refer to the man who went to, the Chinese leader who went to Japan and came back to China, he tackled the teachers, right? Because he said he wanted to change how it is done. But I didn't see you do much of...
Maybe you didn't hear me talk about it.
Okay.
I'm so happy to tell you that the current Director General of Ghana Education Service Professor Davis. He was one person that I tasked to develop a bachelor's degree in STEM education at University of Cape Coast, and he did.
Okay.
So he put it together, brought it to me for a review. He had done a review with all his professors, and today I'm happy that Cape Coast had submitted, at the time I was living, they had submitted their curricula for training of STEM teachers to GTech. We also have 2 STEM colleges of education that were building at the time I was living, one at Karaga and one at Tepa in Ashanti region. And this was to train the next generation of STEM teachers in Ghana. So yes, we were seriously looking at how do you train. And also, we have a number of projects that were ongoing.
But I thought that would have been your first focus, to train the teachers to handle the
You see,
training.
when you are Ghana, you don't have a lot of time.
Okay.
You do the 2 at the same time. So for example, there were teachers who were being trained through Televic, which was a funding regime that we have from Belgium. They were training teachers across the country. TTEL, which is funded through MasterCard Foundation, was also training teachers across the country. So teachers who are now in their jobs currently